And so I'm back.
As you wish. Even more. All Darkspawn. There it is. The last of them.
It has been a long day. By the lines around your eyes, I dare say you look as old as I.
And if I may say so, milady, you appear to be getting younger by the day.
Be careful who you flirt with, young man. When you wake up beside me tomorrow morning, I'll be back to reminding you of your grandmother.
Beside you?
You heard what I said. It would not be the first time I woke to a younger man in my bed.
Are all women this evil and conniving when they grow old?
Just me, my dear. Just me. Alistair, are you all right?
Oh, they left him here to rot. We need to do something. He was a good man, who hoped too much, and died too young. He deserves what little honor we can afford to grant him. Something you need, my dear? Yes, me too. And I got the feeling at the end there that it saw us, was aware of us, whatever you want to call it. Could have just been my imagination, I suppose. What do you think? I thought we were already being extra careful. Does that mean we have to be extra careful now? Great. There I was, enjoying my nap. I guess one thing is certain, at least, isn't it? It's official. This is a blight.
What say you? By all means. I know little enough of the Dalish other than the fact that my mother was one, or so I was told. She had fallen in love with an elven woodcutter and accompanied him back to the city, leaving her clan behind for good. And there, of course, the woodcutter died of some filthy disease and my mother was forced into prostitution to pay off his debts. Oldest tale in the book. How should I know? My mother was a whore, as you'll recall. None of the other elven boys in the whorehouse knew their fathers. I was not so unusual. I didn't know my mother either, of course. She died giving birth to me. My first victim, as it were. We were all raised communally by the whores. It was a happy enough existence, ignoring the occasional beating. Until eventually I was sold to the crows. I brought a good price, so I hear. That's very kind of you to say, but it is not necessary. It could have been much worse. Shall I tell you about what happened to the other whorehouse boys who did not fetch a decent price with the crows? Surely your life has not been so idyllic. People like you and I are not the product of happy lives of contentment, after all. My original point is that my mother's Dalish nature was always a point of fascination for me. Through all the years of my crow training, the one thing of my mother's that I possessed was a pair of gloves. They were of Dalish make, I knew that much, and beautiful. I had to keep them hidden, of course, as we were not allowed such things. Eventually, they were discovered, and I never saw them again. Oh, there has been plenty. To tell the truth, it is because I expected nothing more. Still, even I eventually thought that it would be better for me if I ran off to join the famous Dalish when one of their clans drew near Antiva city. Naturally, the reality did not live up at all to the fantasies I had constructed as a boy, staring at those gloves. But such is life. Come, enough talk of the Dalish. Let us move on.
Do you remember our discussion? I just wanted to tell you that I thought about what you told me, and you were right. Despite what Marjolaine says, I am not like her. I know that now. I found peace in knowing the Maker, and nothing will change that. I followed you to make the world a better place, and as long as I keep that in mind, I will not fall. Sometimes, it takes another to show us the truths we hide from ourselves. I'm glad I left Lothering in your company. You have proven a true friend, and I thank the Maker for you.
What's on your mind? Is something troubling you? You are one of the 2 surviving Grey Wardens in Ferelden. You defend all of us, and much rests on your shoulders. It may not mean much to you, But thank you for having the courage to continue to fight. And that gives me hope.
There you are. Wanted to talk to you. Here we go. You and I, you know how sometimes you spend time with people and things. I was thinking, I do know some people out here on the surface. A person, actually. A girl I knew in Orzammar. Before I left, obviously. Her name's Felsi. She and I were friends after Branca left for the deep roads. I'm sure she's forgiven me by now. Thought maybe I'd track her down, see how she's been living. I tried to look her up the last time we were at Lake Calenhod. She wasn't at work at the inn. At home with her sick mother, they said. I figured it was just the ancestors telling me something, but I keep thinking about her. You suspicious sack of pebbles. You always have to think the worst of someone. You whipped out the knife, didn't you? Look, Felsi and me, we didn't leave things on the best of terms. Yeah, she was jealous of Branca. Then she got to be controlling, and Ogren was meant to be free, you know what I mean? Anyway, she couldn't handle everyone wishing they could be with me. So she left. Honest truth. Well, it's my side of the story. I don't give sod all what you believe. So, are we doing this or not? Well, and a good friend you are, Warden. I'll think about you if we ever... no, actually, that would be gross. No, what was it you wanted to say? You want to be a berserker? Thought I'd never see the day. No, see, it's funny because you'll never be able to do it. A mage wants to be a berserker? But if you know someone fit for this type of work, I'll teach him. It'll be nice to have another berserker to grunt at for a change. What the sod is there to know? You get mad, you fly into battle, and things die. It's pretty simple. The hard part is getting in touch with your rage. We all learn to hold that back. It's why we don't kill every duster who looks at us sideways. You need to shut that off. For some people, being in battle is enough. But others have to think about something. Violence, monsters, nobles, your wife, whatever. Well, for most berserkers it does. Several years ago, I worked with a berserker on one expedition who just couldn't work himself up. We had to kick him in the stones before he could get going. Why not? When you fight, you get mad. By the stone, it's a sodding tactic to enrage your enemy so he makes a mistake, right? Berserkers grab that anger and drink it like it's yesterday's ale. Then we turn it against our foes and watch the limbs fly. For most berserkers, it does. Several years ago, I worked with a berserker on one expedition who just couldn't work himself up. We had to kick him in the stones before he could get going. I'm listening. What about? Oh, sure. I'm fine with it. I mean, she was a real firebrand between the sheets, but a bit soft in the skull, you know what I mean? Explains why she left, anyway. Oh, you don't know her. She was cracked like a glass floor. Before she was a paragon, I mean. After that, she really fell apart. I mean, she leaves me and flits about with that water-tart Hespith. What's she got that I don't? Just the thought of the two of them together, kissing and licking and intertwined on the floor of the deep roads. Yeah, I'm just gonna go back to the tent for a moment. Excuse me.
You called. Speak, then. What makes it mine? It was theirs to begin with. They knew me before I was born. I was birthed on the day they chose, placed in the world by their hands. When I die, it will be the Tamasrans who note my passing. I am their work. What I do is for my people, always. That would be a waste. A life is so much greater than a single man. There is little point in pursuing this. We should move on. As you wish.
I've watched a lot of humans in my time. It should be aware that I've decided that it is not much like any of them. Technically, perhaps. But according to the many years I spent observing the average human in Honleith, I doubt it has much in common with them. Surely it must come from some superior lineage, yes? Some breed of flesh creature that has decided to elevate its genetic stock above its natural shortcomings? Nonsense. It can imagine my surprise, discovering such a thing was possible from a creature so soft. But there it is. I would appreciate if it didn't spread around that I said anything. Humans might start to get the wrong idea. They might start thinking their race is not completely hopeless. Indeed. Can it imagine the horror? Oh. Now, let us crush something into a fine paste before it starts to think I've gone all soft. Perish the thought.
I await your command. So, full of questions, are you? My mother has been hunted from time to time, yes, by Templar fools like Alistair, which should tell you how successful they generally were. Flemeth made a bit of a game of it, in fact. The Templars would come again, and she would look at me and smile and say that the fun was to begin once more. I am unsure. I was too young to understand, and perhaps 'twas bravado on Flemeth's part, or perhaps she was merely amused. I will never know. Flemeth would warn them, once. 'Twas a warning they inevitably failed to heed. And then the true game began. Often Flemeth would use me as bait, a little girl to scream and run and lure the Templars deeper into the wilds and to their doom. Me? No, I never did any of the killing, until later. And even then, Flemeth was a glutton for that sort of thing. Thankfully, the wilds is a vast place. Once they found us, Flemeth would simply move us elsewhere, and we would be lost within the forest once again. I did not understand the danger we faced until I was much older. I had never heard of apostates or maleficarum. You do not know? The Zealots use that word for any magic they do not control. The Chantry sees any mages not leashed to the Circle of Magi as apostates. And apostates could become maleficarum, evil mages that resort to blood magic and become demon-enslaved abominations. It may even be true. Still, those of us who prefer freedom see no reason to submit. An interesting answer for a mage. Enough of this talk. Let us return to the task at hand.